Session 2. I need to start out by saying that this, although I will periodically get up here and talk, I'm not teaching here. Because nowhere in my mind do I say that I'm an expert at this stuff. In fact, I had never even heard of the word andragogy right, until I started looking into what adult learning was. Never heard of it. All right. Huh? Yeah. Because the word that's always been touted here has always been pedagogy. We ain't teaching children. We are not teaching children. All right, we're teaching adults. So that's the first thing we need to do is get that word out of our minds. Unless, of course, you teach K through 12. All right. So we're here for andragogy training in teaching adults because that's what we do. All right. Start off again with a little snippet. All right. It was back when I was trying to talk. Two more hands. Who's got the hands? Who's got the hands? And the Sprite?
Sprite.
All right. That should be it, right? Who asked for the Sprite? John. Yeah, John has the Sprite.
Sprite only?
Right. Yes. All right. Goes back to conversations that I've had with instructors on capstones. All right. And here, typically, when our students get to capstones, there's a lot of teaching going on. And I had several conversations with instructors saying, the purpose of college or university is not to teach. Teaching is done in K through 12. And this was before I even started reading up on adult learning and anything else. Somehow I got that in my mind that teaching is done K through 12. All right? In college, our purpose was to educate people on how to learn. And again, this was before I even read up on any learning theory. I have no idea where I got that from. But that has always been my mindset. And then when someone is off for their master's, PhD, the objective was to teach that person how to do research. All right, so our job here is not to teach. All right, our job here is to educate our students on how to learn, which is some of the stuff we're going to talk about today. So, we are going to discuss adult learning theory, metacognition, another word that I never heard of. All right, but this is actually what I do. I'm one of those bad students. I have never listened to an instructor. All right, because my mindset has always been, where did they get their knowledge from? A book. So that's all I've done. Yeah. In fact, all my cybersecurity, networking knowledge was never gained in any classroom. I just read a book. All right. So I'm one of those folks. We're going to talk about student-centered learning, adult learning styles, and then I'm going to have you guys all get up and do jumping jacks. No? Okay. Some of you. No. All right, so we're going to have a little exercise. All right, so first, again, we no longer, pedagogy, get that word out of your minds. That's not what we do here, because we're not teaching children. All right, so we're going to talk about the three. Did everybody get a chance to take a look at that article that I sent out? All right, we're going to talk about those three different adult learning theories. Andragogy, self-directed learning, and transformational learning. Now, yeah, we probably won't do any transformational learning here at Coleman University, all right, because that's too touchy-feely, and our students don't come here for touchy-feely.
I did.
Say again?
I did.
All right, so we're going to look at andragogy in depth. All right, and what is andragogy? The art and science of teaching adults versus the art and science of teaching children. And it was formulated, actually, Knowles was the guy who started speaking it loudest, but it was actually formulated by some guy back in 1833. And it had a bunch of assumptions. Number one, adults, we move from, all right, dependency, we're dependent upon parents, teachers, what else, to guide us, to independence or self-directedness. When adults come in this door here, they already have, all right, a lifetime's worth of experiences. So we need to use that, all right? We need to have them leverage that in their learning. Most people come in the door because they're getting ready to assume new roles, or they've decided on a new role that they want to pursue, all right? Problem-centered and wants to apply new learning immediately. That's what everybody always touts. You know, we always used to tout that when you come in here, it's all hands-on. All right, so our students, when they walk in the door, they want to touch and feel everything. Well, you can't really do that in some things. For instance, you can't touch a TCP/IP packet as it's going through the network. All right, you just have to understand. And then they're motivated by internal rather than external forces. They don't have parents telling them, you gotta go to school, get that education. They're coming here because they want that education, because they want to move up in their careers or learn a new career. All right, and those are the differences. All right. You can see those, you can compare those. Yes, in K through 12, the teacher's in charge, the teacher controls what the students learn, and they guide them towards a specific focus in their learning. All right. We have to be the opposite. We don't focus on memorizing things, we focus on having the student thinking and doing things on their own. Any questions so far? All right, self-directed learning. All right, this is where that individual determines that they want to pursue something. All right, I sat behind a computer for 2 years at postgraduate school, and I was programming in Ada, and I said, that's not what the hell I want to do for a life. All right, so then I said, well, let me get into networking. All right, and so I guided myself into learning networking, learning cybersecurity. And there's a bunch of statistics, all right? 70% of adult learning is self-directed, 90% of adults conduct at least one self-learning project a year. You decide, hey, I want to learn JavaScript. So let me teach myself JavaScript. All right. I learned Ada in postgraduate school. Phoenix wanted me to teach a Java course. I said, okay, let me learn Java. The problem, though, is with folks who, let's say, come from those disadvantaged backgrounds or haven't finished school, got GEDs, they may not have the ability to self-direct their learning. So they may take some guidance by an instructor or from a facilitator. All right. And then we have transformational learning. All right. From your reading, what is this? Besides reading up on the board, give me an example. One of the examples that the book talked about with transformational learning.
If someone learns a language, they start to understand the culture.
There we go. There we go. All right. It's like you're focused on that language, English language. Now, when I learn the English language, I learn why there are certain phrases that people use. All right. These slang or the lexicon of the language is geared towards the culture.
There's another way to view it. When my students learn a new skill, it transforms their self-image.
Mm-hmm.
They see themselves differently.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
More successes they have. They want.
Is that something though that we can? Is that something that we can leverage, or does that happen by happenstance?
Yeah, we facilitate that process.
Okay. Number two, excuse the, as most people know, I don't do PowerPoints, so doing a PowerPoint is not my specialty, so there's gonna be misspelling.
Reinforcement. When we comment positively
Mm-hmm.
on the changes that they've made, their progress as a professional. Yeah.
Okay, so So again, so that's, it happens by happenstance, but yes, we can further it along, all right, by supporting it in that. All right, metacognition, all right? What is that? In your own words, besides what's up on the board, what is metacognition?
Thinking about thinking.
Thinking about thinking, thinking about how I learn, all right? All right. How am I going to learn Java? All right, well, I'm going to think about, all right, the concepts in Ada, and then I'm going to look at Java and see what's different. I'm going to rely on past knowledge or past learning to determine how I'm going to learn a new subject. All right. And it's said that we can teach those to students. We can teach students how to use those past abilities. I always tell my students that, yes, you should not expect to gain more than 10% or understand more than 10% of what you've read the first time. But that second time you read it, that 10% is going to form the foundation of an additional 10%. All right? Because your brain is going to say, oh, now I can tie that to what I already know. And then every time you read, it's going to add on to it. All right? This isn't anywhere reading, but yes, to have self-directed learning, or where you guide your learning, you have to have metacognition. In order for you to figure out how you are going to learn something, you have to know how you learn and your best techniques for learning. All right. Now we all hear about this, student-centered learning. All right. Student-centered learning. That says what? That the student, you tell the student, you're going to learn math. And oh, by the way, I'm putting the responsibility on you to figure out how you're going to do it and what pace. Can we really do that?
No.
Does a student walking in the door expect to be faced with that?
No.
In most cases, ours don't, all right? Because in most cases, adult learners are walking in the door. And this is something that a few of the readings talk about. Adult learners come in the door and their expectation is that you are going to teach them. And if you try anything else, you're abdicating your responsibility. All right? So we have to convince them, no, we're not abdicating responsibility, but we're not going to be there once you leave this building. And when you're in that new job, in order for you to stay current, especially in these fields, in order for you to stay current, you have to teach yourself how to continue learning.
One of the ways I see this, when our students come in, ideally, they would know what it is that software development is in a general way, or cybersecurity in a general way. Then we can reach a partnership where we say, I'm the expert in writing Java programs, so I will guide you through that. My assumption is that when someone shows up in my class, they want me to assist them in learning that material. Doesn't happen that way.
Right.
Not always true.
Right. Which is why I'm sure everybody remembers back to the days of, you must implement the flipped classroom.
Oh, yeah.
I knew that was not going to work. All right? Because again, our students come in the door with that expectation that we are going to teach them everything.
And the good student for us is the one that we have to get out of their way.
Yes, yeah, and that's that 10% that I talked about last week. That 10% that we don't have to worry about, all right? Because they're going to do good.
But also, if I feel as if you're doing it right towards the end of the class, you wean yourself from helping them as much, and they need to help themselves, or at least think about things before they ask you the questions.
But this is the important part, all right? the first part was really the definition of what it is, but this is the important part. In order to, all right, have that student center model, what? We have to be aware that all adults learn different and they learn at different rates. So that's where those three different styles come in. Visual, all right, I need to see it. Auditory, I need to hear it. Kinesthetic, I need to touch it and do it. All right? So these are the things that we have to address, and yes, we have all of them. The visual person, right, that person will be the one, you can tell those guys instantly, because they'll be sitting right in the front of the class. All right? They want to see the board, they want to be up close with the instructor. All right? The auditory guys, right, they can sit in the back, in the middle, whatever, and the kinesthetic guys. Can we do this? I'm tired of hearing you talk. All right, can we do this? Or afterwards, can we add more hands-on to the class? Those are the kinesthetic guys. All right. We should find these things out, all right? And like I said, you can spot the visual guys, because those will be the guys or gals, all right? Those will be the ones in front of the class. But the other ones, these folks will be more vociferous in their saying, I want to do this. Let me do this. Let us work on this.
They're also the ones that are always constantly drumming, moving.
Yeah.
Talking, you can't shut them down if you do that though.
All right. So these are guys that we have to figure all of these things out first. All right. I just did mine on my own. All right, and you can go to a bunch of different places. All right. All right. But you see, I'm mostly, like I said, I'd rather read the stuff than have somebody talk about it. I'm sure not. I don't need to do it. I don't need to do it. All right. My first job out of the military, I was a network admin. Built the network. Had never touched any of that stuff before. All right, but I read the books and I know how to do it. All right. And you can take these on your own. All right. How many people we got? 2, 4, 6, 8. Perfect number. Perfect number. First off, does each one of you know your learning style?
I suspect not.
Combination.
All right. Now, I want you to pair up in non-department pairs.
That'll be easy
I
for
want you
me.
to pair up in non-department pairs.
What's that?
All right, and I'm going to give both of you a 3x5 sticky, because we don't have 3x5 cards. And it has a topic on there that you need to teach the other person based on their learning style. Okay?
I'm going to go with auditorial, just so I can hear you speak about it. Easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like to do.
Okay.
So you wanna go first?
Okay.
My visual is.
Yes.
I'm gonna need
Visual.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pour it into the glass.
You go first, then okay.
Boiling water.
These are numbers.
But exercise,
Yeah.
how many syllables?
How are we gonna eat? I heard they're trying to get.
Yes.
No,
oratory.
Jury that a woman actually.
It is, okay. So I communicate with it. Visual,
Okay.
well, it's visual, yeah, I'm good with visual. It's visual.
and.
You can't, do sign language.
So, the topic of the day is convert, well, actually, we'll say that.
Right.
In this one,
So,
There's a
you learn to
spot.
count with your fingers, right? And how many
if
fingers?
this would turn on anytime.
Here's, now,
And then, turn it on,
in
and count.
computers,
That's the idea.
If I turn the close up,
what we call time.
Fortunately, above that,
So now.
yeah, because he actually doesn't have a
Decimal.
Except I don't have
What would be, okay.
So the
What would be the most possible?
Come here. Because you're kinesthetic, so you have to do it. in your vision.
Okay, so 0 times 2 to the 0.
This is the one.
Which is.
Second will be always changed, so 0 times 0.
I
Second
know
will
what that
be
is too. Yeah. That's
So
really
it's
cool. Yeah.
So typically, you have to do this.
So then, if we have, decimal percentage, how would you want it?
Oh, you would divide by the base value.
It should not be boiling.
You get 5, so you get
Watch
divided
it just starts to boil. So
2,
then you pour in water.
and then you have 8 as
So
remainder,
this,
you
when you
divide that by 2
this is
again.
gonna be hot.
We know how to do.
Then you gotta jump in your water.
4 divided by 2 again, you get the delta.
Now,
You taught me how to do it here.
Okay, yeah, see, I mean, get that way too, Joe. But I mean, I figure out.
Everybody knew what Now, are you, so you,
Good to
are
know.
you do a visual?
I see.
Alright, so you knew. Well, did you explain this while you were doing this, or did you just do it?
so if you
Did I? Yeah, I just did it.
Yeah, but see,
Well, I saw her doing it and I knew what it was.
okay.
In my case, I tried to explain it in the sense of what you do as you're doing it. So since she was kinesthetic, I figured that taking her through the physical steps and doing a Mr. Coffee machine, not a Mr. Press, would work better.
Yeah, so the physical step is just you punch and you press the button.
Yeah, I know what that is.
That's- yeah.
I've seen it.
Every day, there's 2 devices that you have.
True. You guys got that?
Yep.
you don't have 16 bit.
What was yours?
Instead, if we got 10,
was French press and I'm more of a kinesthetic and mine was jumping
Do you have a text?
and she's visual.
and by doing that, when
All right.
we go over 15,
Cool exercise.
Alright, so, was it easy, was it hard?
we
It's
only
a little
want
hard,
one makeup bar.
especially when we both know that it takes all 3. So we can do some explaining, we can do some writing, we can do,
And then, yeah, so, but that is the objective though, is you are always going to have to do all 3. Alright, so you have to, again, when you're preparing your lessons, you have to think about, okay, how am I going to do this? And then some things you just won't be able to. Alright, so again, for a TCP/IP packet, yeah, you can talk about it, you can draw them a diagram on a board, alright, but they can't really do anything with it, you know. You can bring up a Wireshark presentation and have them see that. Right? Some things you just won't be able to have the students do themselves. So you have to supply at least 2 of the 3. All right? You always need to make sure you supply at least 2 of the 3, and if you can, all 3, do all 3. All right? Let's see. Any questions on any of that? There is, if you look at that handout that I had you guys read, teal, that comes from, what is the title? The Excellence in Adult Literacy?
Excellence And adult literacy.
Yeah, there's quite a few documents, that they have posted up there that are really good to read, yes.
So I have a student who refuses to let me help him in any way. How to find stuff, sit down and interact with him, zero. He literally doesn't want to do anything. And then we've been here, guess what? How do you take care of something like that?
Many years ago, I said, you can lead a student to knowledge, but you cannot make him think. If they won't, they won't.
And again, he's in that 10% category also that I talked about last week. 10% you don't have to worry about, 10% no matter what you do, it's not gonna
He
be.
just wouldn't, he would let me look at his work, he wouldn't let me sit next to him, nothing, nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, you're just not gonna be able to reach. But that doesn't mean that day one, when you try, and you get nothing, that you give up.
No, I
Yeah,
kept trying.
unfortunately, you have to keep on all 10 weeks. All right. There was something else I was going to say. Oh, don't worry about the freaking lunches. All right? Don't worry about the freaking lunches. I told my kids, I'm not leaving you anything. All right? So what I do with my money is my business. And if I want to buy lunches, I'm going to buy lunches.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you,
Plain and simple.
thank you.
All right?
Thank you.
Any questions?